Everything's coming on. Hey, everybody. Welcome into Living the Dream Quilt Shop. How is everybody doing today? So, today's live should have happened yesterday, but my mom ended up in the hospital, so we're coming a day late, but we are not short. Look at this beautiful, beautiful quilt behind me. So, this is probably one of the most amazing things I've done online with the quilt shop. We are going to do a worldwide beginner's tutorial weekly quilt block tutorial. So I'm so excited about this. This is the quilt we're going to be making, and you can use any fabric that you want to make. So I'm going to have the list you'll see the list in the description of everything you need to get started. But while we're here today, we're going to go over a few things just to let you know what you need if you would like to do this journey along with us. So you don't have to be a beginner to be involved. We've got a lot of quilters from the quilt shop that are doing this beautiful quilt behind us, but all you need is beginner basics to do this project. And a lot of these blocks look harder than what they actually are. So you're going to see how easy it is to make your own quilt. And it's actually 12 blocks. We're going to do it for 13 weeks. The 13th week, we are going to sew our rows together and put our borders on. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope a lot of people will join us. Make sure when we get started, or even today if you want, put in the notes who you are, where you're from, so we can get to know everybody that's going to be joining us along this journey. But if you don't want to put any notes, you don't have to. All you have to do each week is sit back, watch what I'm doing, and because it's a beginner's block of the week, I'm going to be doing everything in front of you on camera, from cutting to ironing to stitching and piecing it together, so that everybody that's a beginner can learn the process. But by all means, if you're intermediate or even advanced and you want to join in, speak up, give these new quilters helpful hints. And I am hoping, to have countries from all over the world joining us on this journey. So we have right now, I think there are 12 different countries that have been tuning in on the YouTube channel, and my excitement is just overwhelming. So United States and every place else in the world, welcome in. So let's get started. And first, I'm going to tell you the names of each of the blocks we're going to make on this quilting journey. So, first up, the very first block we are going to make, this is the easiest of all quilt blocks. It's the 9-patch. And that's to get us started, to make sure everybody's got their 1/4-inch seam allowance, to get everybody used to nesting their seams so that your points come out straight. It's a really fun block. The next one over, this is called the 9-patch with a twist. This block right here, whoops, I'm sorry, this block right here is actually this block cut up and twisted around. So it's a lot of fun to do. And the third block over, this is called autumn, I forgot the word for it, autumn tints, and it is a very fun block to make. Next up, we have shoe fly. We have the road to California. It looks a lot harder than it is. You're going to be surprised. This one here is called Crystal Star. Over here, this is going to be the last block we do. This is called Card Tricks. Very easy to do. It's a little bit tricky getting your blocks right, but you're going to do it just like a pro. Here we have Rail Fences. This is called Twin Star. Yes, Twin Star. Down here we have, this is Alaskan Homestead. This is one of my favorite blocks. Here we have Clay's Choice, and then here we have Diamond. So a lot of fun to do. There's Diane Busbin from Georgia. Hey, Miss Diane. And by the way, I am Becky from Living the Dream Quilt Shop. We are located in Bridgeport, West Virginia. So, before I show you all the items, if you like what you see and you want to join in, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and it's a bell, and hit the bell for notify. If you're on Facebook, just follow us and hit notifications. YouTube is a little bit better. You can watch me on TV, on your phone, on your iPad. Facebook, of course, is phone, iPad, computer. So join us on either one of the settings. The one thing about Facebook, after 30 days, the videos disappear. There's nothing we can do about that. But the great news is YouTube is there to stay. And you can also watch it anytime. You can watch the Facebook ones anytime up to 30 days. So that's the two differences. There's Diane McCullough. Hey, Diane. Hope your trip to Disney went well. Okay, so the one thing I wanted to, well, I'll tell you about that when I get to the fabric. So now I'm going to tell you the things you need. And we are just using the most basic items to do this quilt. You don't have to have a big quilt stash. You don't have to have a whole lot of different rulers or different things. I'm going to show you, and I will be quilting along with the most basic elements of quilting to do this quilt. First off, you need a machine. And I will be using this Janome TM16. This is the most basic of all the machines I sell. And the reason I wanted a basic machine, during this quilting journey of these 13 weeks, I don't want anybody thinking, oh, I have to have a machine with all the bells and whistles, with the thread cutter, with the threader, with the different designs. You just need a machine that does a basic straight stitch and get your 1/4 inch seam allowance. That is all you need. So we've got the machine, and of course, let's see, we're going to have to cut this material. So you need a cutting mat. You can use a 12.5 or a 12-inch cutting mat. If you can get a 24 by 18, those are really good. It gives you more space to cut, and you're going to be dealing with bigger fabric at first. So if you can get a bigger mat, that is great, but a 12 by 12 cutting mat will work. And what do you need to cut with? You're going to need a rotary cutter. There's Miss Regina. Hey, Miss Regina, how are you today? Are you cold? You need to get a rotary cutter. Make sure, for all of you quilters that have been quilting a while, make sure you've got a sharp blade. We're going to do a lot of cutting in this quilt. And all of these products can be picked up at Walmart or your local quilt shop, or you can go online. It will be in the description to Living the Dream Quilt Shop, and you can get any of these items available there. Next up, we have scissors. And if you're a new quilter, you're going to get overwhelmed by all the different scissors out there. Now, a bigger pair of scissors is going to be really helpful, especially when we're cutting 6.5 half square triangles. But you don't, one pair of scissors will work for everything. These are one of my favorites to use in the quilt shop. They're nice and sharp. They just don't have a long cut, so it takes a little bit longer when you're cutting long lengths. And then you can have thread cutters, or you can use something like this the whole way. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you've got a nice sharp pair of quilting scissors. Next up, seam tape. So, for all of my people that have been quilting for a while out there, you know where that 1/4 inch seam is. But beginners, that was the hardest thing for me to learn. And it took me a few years, but I didn't know about this simple trick. And later tonight, I'm going to go live and do a short tutorial on how to find that 1/4 inch seam. But if you have any painter's tape, they sell 1/4 inch tape, or this is called wasabi tape. And wasabi tape is a crafter's tape. And you want something with some color to it. So, I've lost the end of my, there it is, the end of my wasabi tape. So wasabi tape is not real thick. You can actually see through it. But when you put it on your machine to mark that 1/4 inch seam, it is so... I know that looks crooked, but it's on there straight, I promise. That wasabi tape will help you follow your material through so you keep that 1/4 inch seam consistently. So it is all, this is not necessary, but in order to keep those 1/4 inch seams and keep your block straight, it's a very handy thing to have. Seam ripper. If you're a new quilter, this is going to become your best friend. People hate to rip seams. We all hate making mistakes. And sometimes we make little mistakes and you can't see it. I can tell you, I know of 4 nice mistakes in this quilt. But look at that quilt. Can you see my mistakes? That is one of the biggest things that beginner quilters, they get discouraged when they make a mistake. You are the only one that normally sees that mistake, and sometimes you're long armor. But all in all, somebody told me if you put it on a horse and ride the horse by at 30 miles an hour, can you see the mistake? If you can, rip it out. So, for all of you new quilters, don't worry about those tiny mistakes. If you can fix it, go back and fix it. But we all make mistakes, and every quilt has a couple mistakes in it. Almost every quilt. I know there's some perfect people out there. All right, next up, we have pins. Pins are going to be really important in this 13-week sewing journey. And I had a box here. Oh, right here in front of me. Pins. And you want a little bit longer of a pin. These are 1.25 inches. We are going to be pinning our seams so we can get these little points on right. So have a bunch of pins ready so you can use these when we're pinning and putting our blocks together. Next up, okay, now, one more thing. Irons. We're going to be ironing a lot. So, any iron will do. It can be a tiny iron, a medium iron, a big iron. When you're doing these smaller, like when we're building these little blocks here, sometimes it's easier when you have a smaller iron to do that with. I use a bigger iron for when I'm ironing my entire quilt or ironing each row. It's a lot easier, but it doesn't matter. I can use and I'm going to be using a big iron the whole time, just in case there's anybody out there that doesn't have a little iron, to show you it doesn't matter. It can be done. So I'll be using my bigger iron, but you can use a tiny iron and just iron your whole quilt. And it's always a good idea to have some starch. And Best Press is a quilter's good friend. This will, you can starch your fabrics. It gives it a crispness to the fabric. It cuts better. It lays better. And with the, when we cut fabric in half, and we'll be talking about that later, it gets stretchy on triangles. This will keep it more stable for you. So, Best Press, and I'm going to talk about that again in a minute. And now, rulers. So many different rulers out there, but like I said, we are using the most basic rulers to cut our fabric with. Now, it's always a good idea if you have a 24 or an 18-inch ruler. They don't have to be that big. I have 18-inch rulers in here, and I can't get to it or I would show you. But these right here are nice. When you're dealing with your initial 3/4 or 1.5 yards of fabric, these are nice to cut because every time you fold your fabric, it might get caught and cause a little loop in there. And when you cut down, it goes jagged. So these are always nice because you only need to do one fold. I do have starch at the shop, Angie. Yes, ma'am. Everything I'm showing here today, I have in the shop, and there's going to be a link in the description. If you hit that link and go to livingthedreamquiltshop.com, you can order it and get it delivered to you in time for the start. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Angie. Good question. Also, you're going to need at least one square up ruler. Here is the ruler I'm going to be using most of the time on the show. Well, in fact, I'll be using this one all the time on the show because I don't want people to think they have to go out and buy a whole bunch of rulers to do these. You do not. The most important thing when you go to get a square up ruler, and this is 8.5, get at least a 6.5 inch square up ruler. 8.5 is a little bit better. That way, when we are squaring up our 6.5 half square triangles, it'll be a whole lot easier for you. And just make sure that it has, I don't know if you can see my finger, if you can see this line going diagonally across here, you need that 45-inch line. That is going to be very important when we're squaring up the half square triangles. So 6.5 is fine, but if you can get the 8.5, it's a little bit better. They also have 12.5-inch square up rulers. You do not have to have one of these. It's nice to have because every block we're going to make in this journey is going to be 12.5 inches. And at the end, before we sew our rows together, we want to make sure that we're within distance of our 12.5 inches. And you can just lay this right on top of that block and take off any excess. Makes a really nice thing to have, but you don't have to have one that big. And something else I want to say on that. I was talking about squaring up the 6.5-inch half square triangles. When you have like 3.5 and 2.5, it's really hard to use such a big ruler to square up a 3.5-inch triangle. That's why I said it's a whole lot better if you have one that's at least 6.5 or 8.5. It's about the right size, and it's not so awkward moving it in front of you to square up those tiny triangles. Okay, we are down to the good stuff, and I love this. Now, you can use any fabric you want. This fabric I have here, I do have kits available. We have a limited supply of kits available, and we ran out of this color. I've got something that's close to match it, but we are out of this color. But if you would like a kit, there's going to be a description, a link in the description to take you to the page to order one of the kits, or you can go to livingthedreamquiltshop.com and just type in K-100, and that kit will come up for you. Now, and you do not have to get our kits at all. You can use your stash. You can go out anywhere and find something you really like. You need a focal fabric. This is the focal fabric. And for this one, I'm suggesting 1.5 yards. When I done this one, I did 1.25 yards, and I didn't quite have enough. So I had to come out and buy another 1/4 yard to make it work so I could have my borders and use it in the middle. Now, if you don't want to use it anywhere in the middle, you can see I used it here, a couple different places in the quilt to just kind of grab that out. But if you don't want to use that, you only need about 1 yard. Then you need a background fabric. So my background fabric was the white. I was going to use it in every block, but I think it looks a lot better that I used other colors as background in some of the blocks. But for the background fabric, you need 3/4 yard, or some people that have seen the quilt said it would have looked nice with a small border around an inner border inside of this border. If I would have done that, I would have definitely needed about 1 yard of this, so I had enough to do the blocks I did and this. You're welcome, Angie, absolutely. And then you need 4 blender fabrics. And a blender fabric is just something that blends in with your quilt, with your focal fabric. So I picked these 4. And as you can see, they don't all have the same texture. They're not all from the same line. They don't have to be. It's anything that looks good and anything you like. So just go out and and you need 3/4 of a yard of each of these. And this will also be listed in the description. So the 2 things that I will tell you to get ready for next week, because we're going to be cutting along together. You're going to get the pattern. You're going to see it on the link that day, but you won't even have to have the pattern in front of you. You're going to have me in front of you showing you how to do it. But later today, Seth is going to have a link. And where did I put my phone? Oh, over here. Let's see. Seth is going to have a link in the description. And it is a link to what I call the coloring page. And let me see. It is going to look really similar to this, but of course you're going to print it out. If you want, you don't even have to print this out. But what I did was I printed one of these out for each of these blocks I did, and I colored in the colors that I wanted to use. So I could look at that as I was sewing and make sure my blocks were being placed where I wanted them. You don't have to have that, and you can just follow along with me. But every week, when we do, like when Seth will post this link this week, next week when I do the first block, in that description, there will be a link to the second block's coloring page. So you'll have all week long to color that in, decide what fabrics you're going to want to use. So when we do the second week, you'll be all prepared and ready to cut your fabrics for the colors you want to use. And that's the great thing about it. It's going to be whatever looks good to you. You do not have to use my fabrics, my colors. And Seth is going to put a thing up where people can post as they go. So each week when you finish your block, you can share your block with everybody that's watching all over the world and see everybody's different blocks and how different the same quilts are going to look with all these different colors. So I'm so excited about this. And I think that is all you need. And thread. You need some thread. And you can use any color thread you want because these are going to be seams. But it always, if you're a beginner, it's always better to use something that complements your fabric. So I'm going to use this green. And another reason I'm using green, it'll show up a little bit more when I'm doing the seams. So when you guys are watching me sew, last week I was using white and nobody could see my seams. And I really want you girls to see my seams, see what I'm doing, so you beginners will understand the process. Are there any questions on this live? And the other great thing about it is you can watch it anytime. So I won't always be live, but I'm going to try to go live right about 4 o'clock every Wednesday to do the block of the week, barring a family emergency like yesterday. But even if you don't make that 4 o'clock and you're not live with us and commenting on YouTube, you can still comment later. And there's also a place you can click to see the live comments. So it makes you look at one or the other. So a lot of times I'll go onto YouTube, somebody had been live and I don't think they've had any comments. But the comment section is where people post after the live. If you click over on the live comments, you can actually see what we were talking about during the live session. So that's another tip for YouTubers. Good question, Tina. Hey, Tina, how are you? This is Aerofil 40 weight. So I use 40 weight when I'm piecing. Good question. Oh, and with your iron, for you beginner quilters, I know my other quilters already know this. I have an ironing pad. Um, you can use an ironing pad, you can use a wool mat, you can use an ironing board. Just have a safe place that's not on a piece of wood, um, that you might ruin if you need it. A safe place where you can iron. Okay, so if that is all the questions, that is all I've got for you now. Remember, later tonight we have our live sales. It's end of the month, end of Bolt. We're going to have a huge sale tonight at 7:30. I'm also going to go live here in a little bit and talk about that 1/4 inch seam allowance for all of you beginners that are trying to figure out how to get that steady 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to be doing a live to help you out with that so we can get you started in the right way. Anything else? But join us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and I am so looking forward to this quilting journey. And if you're going to do it with us and you would like, make sure you put a comment in, let us know your name, where you're from, just so we can see all the people we've got involved. That's going to be a lot of fun, and hanging out with you all is going to be a lot of fun. I'm Becky from Living the Dream Quilt Shop. Thanks for helping me live my dream. I hope you're living yours, and I'm really looking forward to this. Me too, Angie. Thank you. And, oh, by the way, a short note for all my Facebook followers. No, Walt, you cannot drop your ironing off to me. I've got too much to do as it is. The quilt shop might be closed for the next 2 days. I'm trying to find somebody that can clear the walkway. My mom fell, and we think she might have a break in her leg. I don't want anybody falling at my quilt shop. So the ground is froze. It's 8 degrees out, and I have a pile like this out there and no metal shovel to get through it. So I don't want anybody falling. If I can find somebody to do it, I will post that we're going to be open. But otherwise, check Google, check Facebook, see if the shop will be open before you come this weekend. Thanks, everybody. I will see you soon. Love and hugs.